working for a company called Medtronic, and I was in their spine department at the time. And I don't know, if it was a fish story where it grew, but when I went to their national training, they said I was the youngest sales rep in their medical device department that they had ever had at training, which every employee has to go through training. So in theory, saying you're the youngest person that we've ever hired for this specific job. So congratulations. Mind you, I just graduated from college, didn't take a biology class, didn't take a science class, and technically I shouldn't have graduated because I missed that credit, but they messed up and still let me graduate. So I was doing a job that I should have had no business doing because I shouldn't have graduated college to begin with.
Welcome everyone to episode 8 of Processing the Process with myself, Melvin Johnson. Welcome again. The show has been doing phenomenal, way better than I expected. So thank you for everyone that's tuning in week in and week out. People that are telling friends and families about the show, thank you so much. But the show, if it's your first time listening and watching, it's all about giving more context to people that I believe are successful in their industry and learning more about them, learning more about their story, because success, like I always say, isn't a finish line. It's definitely a process, and we're definitely going to be talking about that process and digging into it. So without going too much into this gentleman's story that is sitting across from me today, please, Eric, introduce yourself to everyone.
I'm just happy to be here. Name's Eric Weiser, been a longtime friend of Melvin Johnson, so happy to be at this day today with him, spending some time talking about the story that he knows well, but I'm sure we'll have a good time talking about it.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely know it well. Hopefully I can pick up some things myself, selfishly, that can help me learn more and incorporate that into my business, but everyone that's listening can incorporate that into their business. But please tell everyone, and I want you to, not at all times will anyone be selfish enough to expound upon their successes and kind of pat themselves on the back. But for context, so everyone knows exactly what you've done and what you've accomplished in this business, please let everyone know what it is that you do and the successes that you have reached, whatever you can share with us.
Yeah, so I work in a commercial insurance fashion. I work for a company called Assured Partners. I actually started out in the family business in 2012, working for my dad. He started it when my mom was pregnant with me, and we were a property and casualty insurance broker. And over the years, we grew our shop from a few employees, and when we sold it, 30 employees, and now work for a best-in-class national organization called Assured Partners, or probably refer to it as AP throughout our conversation. Had pretty good success in the business.
Definitely.
This past year is named by Business Insurance Magazine top brokers under 40, and then national just top broker, and several other awards over my tenure. So it's been a great run for me. Way more has been given to me in this business than I ever thought I could get out of it.
Definitely. So obviously winning those awards doesn't come easy. So hopefully we can kind of get into what you did in order to reach those heights and those successes. But, here at the show, we kind of like to give a little bit more context on the back end. Just give us a little bit about how you grew up, brothers, sisters, entrepreneurial spirit, grew up in a family that was entrepreneurs. Give a little bit more about who you were growing up.
Grew up in Houston, so I'm born and raised in Houston. Parents still together, both still live here. My brother is older, so I'm one of 2 boys, actually 5 generations of all males in the family, and I have 2 boys, so I've continued that legacy. Got into the business by accident, but prior to that, I never thought I would get in it. We weren't really a family of entrepreneurs, even though we grew up owning our own family business, so to speak. Mm-hmm. We just always lived a life of doing what we enjoyed. So that's why I never thought I'd get into insurance, because whoever thinks they would enjoy insurance. Yeah. You don't wake up as a kid and say, I'm going to be a firefighter, I'm going to be an NBA player, I'm going to sell insurance. Yeah. Just not part of it. So I accidentally got into it, but had a good life as a kid, played sports, traveled. So I definitely was rewarded by the work that my parents did in this business. Never realized how much they put into owning this business and what went into it and all the hard work. Just got to live the good life, so to speak, as a kid, never really worrying and having fun. Yeah.
And, of course, for the avid watchers of Processing the Process and are familiar with all the episodes that has been out thus far, Larry Weiser, Eric's dad, was on episode, I believe it's episode 4. So if you want to go back and hear Larry's story, he can also give more context about, just his thought process. But, Eric, absolutely has done phenomenal things in this business. Definitely an individual that brought me into this business. We were friends, still friends, of course. However,
Hold on.
still
I
friends.
heard we're friends.
We're friends.
Started
But
as we're friends, now still
before
friends.
before I entered this business, we were friends, and that's what led me to understand what this business had to offer and the lifestyle that it could bring. So I owe that to Eric. I think anyone that is in this business probably knew someone in this business. No one grows up saying they want to be in insurance or sell insurance or anything to do with insurance. Typically, it's a friend or a family member.
There's nothing sexy when you grew up hearing about the insurance business
Nothing
at all.
Nothing sexy. However, with that being said, I think that you have successfully shown, let's just people in your inner circle, what insurance can do for you as far as the lifestyle and how it can. But I want to really dig in and explain kind of like how you got into insurance. Let's talk a little bit of starting, let's call it like college, leaving college, first career, and what led you to even pursue this. Because you said you didn't want to.
Right.
It wasn't something that you were passionate about and said, let me just do what my dad did. What led you to this?
So everyone's heard this before. My dad always wanted me to do more than he did, and he didn't want me to do the same thing. He wanted to be more successful. So he always tried to keep me out of the business. It was never something that we expected for myself or my brother to get into, as he is in the business in California and does his own thing. But when I got out of college, my story is kind of funny. I was home for, I think, a winter break or just after graduation at my parents' house, and some guy was touring my parents' house because he wanted to buy it. So I get out of the shower, get dressed, walk out into the living room. There was a random guy there and introduced myself, and it just was me. And we started having a conversation, just got out of college, trying to figure out what I want to do, don't really know. And he's like, I have someone that you need to meet. And he introduced me to 3 different people.
Okay.
And he said, look, I don't know where they'll go, but I like you. And you obviously can be charismatic and talk to people. So I'm going to introduce you to people that are all in some sort of sales capacity, and see if any of them are fit for you. So I met with a realtor. Well, he introduced me to a realtor. Actually, we actually never met, and who knows how my life would have been if I did that. A medical device salesperson. And I honestly don't remember who the third guy was, so he didn't leave a very lasting impression.
Okay.
Funny enough, I remember the guy that I didn't show up to see. Still see his billboard all over the place. And
Really?
wow, I stood that guy up. But I met with this guy and his wife, and we actually met at a bar, and we were just talking, and he said, look, I'm going to hire you, and you're going to be a medical device sales rep. And that's
Boom.
how it happened.
That's how you got into the medical device sales.
Shower, bar, you're hired. And I got into medical device sales. So my first job, I was working for a company called Medtronic, and I was in their spine department at the time. And I don't know, if it was a fish story where it grew, but when I went to their national training, they said I was the youngest sales rep in their medical device department that they had ever had at training, which every employee has to go through training. So in theory, saying you're the youngest person that we've ever hired for this specific job. So
Okay.
Congratulations. Mind you, I just graduated from college, didn't take a biology class, didn't take a science class, and technically I shouldn't have graduated because I missed that credit, but they messed up and still let me graduate. So I was doing a job that I should have had no business doing,
in.
because I shouldn't have graduated college to begin with because
yeah.
of that specific field.
Wow.
Which was biology or any sort of science.
Class. And so
Correct.
now you're thrown into this industry. This is, you're in training.
Yep. First week is you walk into an operating room, and some guy has his back split open, and you're standing in the surgery with a pointer talking about the tools and equipment and where they go in the body and their strength, how hard you could turn them, their radius, what the torque is, how to break them off. And you're almost like this equipment engineer for the doctor who's doing the medical procedure. So they know the body. I know my tools and equipment. Someone drops a screw. Hey, I know you need to use this fishing hook and blah, blah, blah on a body that I hadn't even taken a science class. They're talking about, the thoracic. I'm like, oh yeah, that's by your ankle. They're like, nope, that's your back, right?
Yeah.
No purpose being there. So that was my first job out of college.
And how did you do in that particular career?
I hated it.
Because it just wasn't a fit for you?
It was grueling. It was also right as there's regulation coming out that was compressing the amount of money that you could make.
Okay.
So you have rates being compressed that the hospitals and networks are willing to pay you. And you're driving around town all day. It wasn't really a sales job. It was more a job where I was handling the surgeries, and I was in the operating room all day. I wasn't selling every day, right? I was relationship managing by knowing my product, but I wasn't out building new relationships.
Gotcha.
And it felt very confining. And eventually I got to the point that I hated my weeks more than I liked them. So, there's always good days and bad days at work, just like there are today. Don't get me wrong. There's days that if our building was taller, I'd jump, but I would just twist an ankle. Now, that job, it was becoming mad on Monday, mad on Tuesday, mad on Wednesday. Crap, now I'm mad more days than I'm happy.
Gotcha.
And I haven't even gotten through half the week yet. And at that point, I realized a year in, it didn't bring me happiness. And it wasn't a lifestyle that I wanted to live because my hours were doctor hours. And I wanted to be able to play with my kids eventually that I would have and coach Little League and travel and do all the things that I wanted, the freedom that hopefully building wealth would allow you to do.
Absolutely.
That job at the time, I was able to realize the more wealth I was able to make did not buy me freedom at all.
Okay.
So I figured it out young and I wanted to get out. I'm not saying that I have a lot of freedom now.
No, but that makes sense. I mean,
But I realized it
total
quick.
sense.
Yeah, I was looking at my boss whose wife was having triplets and he was missing doctor's appointments.
Because he had to.
Cases. Yep.
Understood.
And I didn't want that. At least I'm flexible enough now that I don't miss important dates at school and I don't miss doctor's appointments.
Understood. So from there, you was like, I need to change careers.
Yep.
And you immediately thought insurance. Was that the immediate thought, or
No,
how did that happen?
There's my dad used to had a contract with a company called Farmers, and my brother worked for Zurich at the time, which is their parent company, and they had a new leadership development program they're developing out of California, which is home office. So I interviewed for it. Goal was to, again, fast track and be the youngest person for a specific position. Like when I was being interviewed, they said, what do you want? I was like, I want to beat the record. Whatever it was, for whatever job it is, I want to beat it. Like that's my goal.
Okay.
So they hired me, quit my job in, let's say, October, signed a lease in California with my brother. They went on a hiring freeze for budget purposes. So I just quit my job, signed a lease, and I have nothing.
So you were in California.
I was here. I hadn't moved yet.
You hadn't
Signed
moved
the
yet,
lease,
but you signed the lease,
quit.
but hadn't moved. Okay.
Yep. So my dad, Larry, was like, look, just work in the office, my office for a little bit. It's insurance. It's a different side of insurance, but at least when you go, you'll be one step ahead of all the guys that have never been on the retail side. You'll just have been on the corporate side. So you get a head start.
Was this almost, did you think this was going to be just to supplement until the hiring freeze was over? Or
It was
was
30 days, 4 months, however long it took. I mean, you're talking about October, so hopefully budget reopened right after the first of the year.
So that was the plan.
That was the
The
plan.
plan was, okay,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just going to be here to at least
Right.
cover my
something.
lease, learn
Yeah.
something, get something to take back with me as I go to California and start my career there.
Correct.
But that didn't happen, obviously.
No. So I closed my first account
Okay.
pretty quick. And I mean, I joke, I say like I tasted blood, like a bird dog, a gun dog. First time he gets a duck in his mouth, like
Yeah.
I didn't want to let that duck go. I didn't want to stop. All I wanted to do was be that dog chasing ducks every day.
Just get new business and
Correct. And
close
service
accounts.
and close. And that was the fun. It was like, that was my competition, right? In high school, I played sports. Baseball, I played recreational sports and had other things that I competed for and had other things how I track success. Now, I didn't play sports anymore. I needed that competition. And to me, being the best in my business and, chasing business and just grinding was the new way for me to have fun. And once I did it, I didn't want a corporate job. I wanted to grind every day and, again, be that bird dog just chasing ducks. And it was just a different way to do it.
So how was the first year, second year, third year?
So
tell me, how was that progression going?
First year was challenging because I didn't know that I was actually going to do it full time. And I was young. I was still only a year out of college. So wasn't as mature as I could have been. So some Monday mornings and Friday mornings
We're a little rough on
were
you?
a
Okay.
little rough. There was a couch in the front of the office, and you wouldn't be surprised to see me taking a nap on the couch. However, in between that and after I realized what I needed to do, I was a grinder. I still am. I mean, but I was, if you go to one of our AP trainers, like your guys need to do 100 calls a week, right? They're building out their network and their pipeline. I was doing 100 calls before lunch every day, no doubt about it, and doing another 100 calls after lunch. And eventually that just turned from calls to in-person meetings to, I joke, I never eat breakfast or lunch alone.
Yeah.
And it's just another way of grinding. So the first year was slow, the second year picked up, and the third year, it was like throwing a grenade. I mean, my whole life changed because all the work that I put in, all that grind, started to backfill and come to fruition. Like people that, you missed a date the first year, at the second year, they're a little busy. The third year, 2 or 3 years of chances, they're ready. So all of that work, year 1, 2, and even into 3 really started to pay off.
So, I mean, most people, when they hear 100 calls a day, I think the gut reaction would say, or even before lunch would say, not possible, he's lying. However, you were in the office,
Oh yeah.
smiling and dialing, as they say, and just going at it, keeping notes and
Yep.
getting
So
clients that way.
it was so easy, and there's no reason why you can't do it. That's why I give so many people such a hard time here. Most calls, it's quick. It's either absolutely no, they're not in the office, or you have a couple minute phone call. So if you think about it, if 2/3 of those if 9 out of 10 calls are no's, then they shouldn't last more than 30 seconds to begin with.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense that you can't do that many calls. The big thing that I had to learn, and I think I was okay with, was 9 out of 10, 99 out of 100, even more to reduce that percentage, are going to say no. So it's just being quick to get to the next one. I mean, to the point where you should be able to face your computer over here and dial on the back and not have to look to where the numbers are.
So is it safe to say, and I really don't know the answer to this, were you in a rush to hurry up to get to the no's before the yeses? Like you were like, the sooner I can get to a no, the quicker I can get to a yes. Was that the mentality?
No, I was actually, I objected a lot. I still object. I mean, everything. I joked. Somebody, I'm trying to remember what it was. This weekend, I asked something from someone. I asked someone to move here. Specifically, I asked someone's wife if they would move here. And she was like, well, it's not a no. I was like, that's all I need to know. You didn't say no, which means it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time when.
So you're saying there's a yes.
Yes, so that's all I need. I was like, the sales guys are two ways.
Saying
It's
there's
no
chance.
is maybe, and maybe is yes,
Yeah.
right? And it's just getting it done. It's
Yeah.
just at some point being persistent enough that you, or adding enough unknown value that they need to make the decision, right?
Yep.
At the beginning, when you're young, it's all about price, and then you learn your value and how you deliver it, and it's all about, you'll learn that I bring value to the table at some point. It's just when you're able to allow me to bring that value to the table that you'll probably want to hire me.
That's it. So we really want to dissect here and really lean on you and the show and all of our guests, but can you give us some things that you know that if people do X, they're going to be successful? And it could be calls, it could be some other things, but what are some things that you know that you did that either A, most people aren't willing to do, or B, most people do it, but they don't do it long enough to see the success and the reward at the end?
So we'll start simple. If I would have just done those calls for the first week and never done it, said, you know what, I made 100 calls in the morning, 100 calls in the afternoon. I only got 2 yeses for the 200 calls. This is a waste of time. I'm going to stop after a week. That would have been an epic failure, right? It was realizing that it is a process, and I had to trust the process to get there, right?
Yep.
We talk about this because that's the name of the show. I had to trust the process. I was told the more people you talk to, the better opportunity you have. Eventually, you open the doors. Then eventually, it was spending another set of time with influential people, even people that I couldn't help today or that couldn't help me today. It was just getting to know them, because at some point I would be what I would call a peer, where I could provide value. They could teach me something, I could teach them something, and building that network. So I think the persistency of taking the no's, but also the persistency of just wanting to meet people and asking others that have been successful in the industry for help. I've called agents and brokers all across the country that had no need to help me, just ask them questions to learn what they did.
So you were trying to be a sponge in every sense of the word.
Education, from literal education, like courses,
Correct.
To asking people that are successful what they've done, to just being around influential and smart people. I mean, there's always that cliche thing, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with, or, if 5 of your friends are broke, you're the next one.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be broke. So if I was always the poorest person in the room, or the person that knew the least in the room, I was only going one direction. I was up.
Yeah. So, in your day-to-day, the first year, second year, third year, sounds like it was a lot of calling, a lot of no's, obviously grinding, running back into. Is there anything else you did within that let's call it a 3-year window, that that this is probably a piece of my success, or the relationships that I built in that amount of time
Definitely.
is where it is? Like, is there any other little nuggets that you may have done in
Definitely.
that 3-year period?
So
Okay.
my wife, first of all, I say that tongue in cheek, but definitely my wife kept me on a straight line, made sure that I was focused on our life and business and getting where we wanted to go and setting some sort of parameter of what our life goals were, which I knew what I needed to do, right? I knew what I wanted to provide. I knew that what we wanted to do, I knew what the future that we wanted. And the only way to do that was to earn and
Write more business.
and set that up. So, having that goal of this is what I want my life to look like and having someone behind me that supported me to do it was huge. So there's a lot of early mornings that I'm out and a lot of late nights that I'm out and a lot of times that we're sitting at the kitchen table and I take phone calls and I don't turn it off and I don't know how to say no and I have no work-life balance.
Yeah.
But with that comes, a lot of the goals that we've obtained earlier than we thought we would. The other one is definitely education.
Okay.
I was young. Think about it. I didn't even have a beard when I started because Medtronic didn't let me. I was like, guys, y'all aging me down. Look, 12 without a beard. So I got here and I had to grow out a beard, so I at least looked a little bit older. But insurance was a good old boy industry. I mean, you think about the iconic stereotype of insurance person. It's an old guy shaking hands, just getting a deal because of a handshake. So I had to level up with education because I couldn't level up with age.
So that's a good little nugget. So because of youth, and I think it's easy for someone to lean on and say, oh, it's because I don't have the gray hairs or they don't view me as an equal because I'm young. You said, okay, if that's the case, I'm going to be as smart as I possibly can to answer those questions and look intelligent when I'm sitting across from someone and they're trying to drown me in jargon or words that I feel like I might not compete in. Okay.
Yeah, so I did it like, all right, I look young. Yes, I'm asking you to give me, the ability to and put all your trust in me to ensure your $50 million, $100 million business or your small business that is everything that you have. And I look like I'm a toddler. I got it. That's scary.
Yeah.
But wait till I open my mouth and I sound really educated and I know what I'm doing. I can talk to you about various risk profiles and risk financing, and I can talk circles around your broker so that you have confidence and trust in me that I can deliver because I probably know more than him. So I did a lot of night classes online on my own right out of the gate, got different designations, different studies, just continually learned and work to be smarter than my competition so that it immediately pulled age out of the factor.
Gotcha.
If I was smarter than you, why did it matter how old I am?
Yeah.
I got it if I was young and dumb.
Yeah.
Well, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But if I'm young but I'm smart, and I used to joke like your guy's probably the wolf or a little what I used to say. I used to tell people, I get it, your guy's 65, he's older, but he's on the bottom of the hill coming down. I'm still a wolf at the bottom of the hill going up. So I got a lot more hunger than he does. So you know someone that's going to work for you, that's going to be me. And a lot of old guys kind of laughed, but I think it resonated because they knew
at one time they were young and they were at the bottom of the hill trying to make their bones and make themselves known in their industry.
Exactly. And I think that I did. I mean, a couple of years into the process, we won an award from one of our carriers and have been 5 times in a row. Never lost it since we won it the first time we were appointed with them or eligible to win. Have sat on a couple agency national boards and agency councils. Have been a part of several think tanks. And then, like I said, recently with these various awards from Insurance Business Magazine shows that it all made sense. It's all working.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you a question to kind of change topics just a little bit. What do you think about mentors? Have you had mentors throughout the years? Do you recommend them for individuals? What's your thought around that?
I do. So I've never had just one mentor ever. I never had one person that I tagged with and that was the person that's trained me, right? I think that part of what I mentioned before is I surrounded myself with a lot of mentors, right? I still have people that I lean on or ask questions or try to learn from that aren't in the space or I haven't talked to in a while, but I try to do various people that are just successful. You just have to be successful. And if you've been successful, you probably have something that I can, or you do, no, not you probably, you definitely, no doubt about it, have something that I can learn from you.
Yeah.
Even if it's in your industry, I can apply it to mine.
Absolutely.
Or an experience that you had, I can apply to my world. So just learning through people's other experiences and their shares definitely is important, and it doesn't have to be a one-on-one mentor relationship. Just having breakfast with someone every quarter, you can learn a lot.
That's just picking up something.
Yep.
That's why, selfishly, I want to bring as much value to anyone that sees this and watch this. But sitting across from yourself or any of the previous guests or guests here in the future, I can pick up little things like, you know what, this is something that I can apply to my business. Right. And more than anything, I think for individuals that listen to past episodes and kind of listen and learned, there has been a common theme amongst everyone that's I've sat across and had the conversation with. Consistency, always being consistent. Obviously, making phone calls. It's not for 1 week. You got to do it for 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
Networking, always expanding on your network, and that's huge.
There's a book. I've never read it. I think I've recommended it, but never read it. Don't hold that against me. I just like the title because I live by it. I think the book says never eat alone.
Okay.
There's no reason. Like, I think of it, you're going to eat breakfast. You're going to eat lunch. That's 10 opportunities a week to sit across from somebody that's either a prospect, a client, a friend, a mentor, a center of influence, someone you can learn from, someone that you can do nothing for today, but who knows what you can do for them later or that they could do for you later. 10 opportunities a week to just share food, which everyone enjoys sharing food together.
That's another diamond in the rough. So do you every week or at least make an attempt every day to have a breakfast and lunch schedule or dinner or?
Oh, definitely. So I'm very, very religious about eating dinner with my family.
Okay.
So I do not take dinners. I mean, you may see me have 2 dinners out a year. I just don't do it because I'm out early and there's a lot of times I have work functions that I'm out. So I try not to have prospect or center of influence dinners if I can make it a lunch or a breakfast.
Understood.
And I really think that if somebody gives you their breakfast hour, they're giving you their uninterrupted attention before they get to the office and shit hits the fan. I mean, think about it. At breakfast, you're saying, I'm gonna give you 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, before I go to work, my undivided attention. Because once I get there and we get to lunch, I may have 4 things on my mind that blew up. I know what I have to do when I get back. My emails are coming in. But breakfast to me is the most remarkable time to sit down with somebody because they're just focusing on you because most likely their plate hasn't been full yet.
That's interesting. So would you say you regard breakfast at the top of your list as far as a time frame to meet or sit down with someone? Like
Definitely.
that is that important to you that
Definitely.
that is.
And it's not necessarily to get business done.
Yeah.
Breakfast, I mean, that's not what I'm saying. That's not where I'm going to close a deal. It's where I want to spend time with people, bankers, PEOs, payroll companies, CPAs, old colleagues, people that are competitors. It's a good time to have an uninterrupted conversation.
And it's going to mean something. It's not just to do it, or just to shoot the breeze. It's to get something out of it.
I've already got something done before I even got to the office. How accomplishing is it to feel 8:15 I just walked out of breakfast and I have already accomplished something.
Yeah.
If my day goes to hell, I can say at least I had a positive experience at breakfast today that may bring something to the table later.
No, totally makes sense. What are those sounds all are some keys to your success thus far?
And I like coffee. We all know I like coffee.
Ton of coffee and any other beverage that you can get your hand on. That's exactly. You keep them next to you at all times. But so
got to stay hydrated when you're grinding.
Definitely, you a million miles an hour. How has your life changed? Let's call it the last 2 years to the first 2 years of your career.
So first 2 years, I probably did less than a quarter of the combined revenue as I've done this year.
Okay.
Alone,
That's
or
big.
maybe even the first half of this year.
And what do you contribute that to?
So a lot of stuff. The first 2 years are still grinding, still trying to figure out who I am, what my purpose in the space is, trying to learn while also trying to create a network and a foundation. Today, I have a great foundation of people because of those breakfasts and those lunches that want to do business with me or want me to do business with someone that they trust because they trust me.
Yep.
And it's also just those relationships that I've built. It's just different, right? I don't cold call anymore. My business is referral business because I want to choose who I want to do business with because it's a good fit for them, but it's also a good fit for me. When you first start, it's like you have a heartbeat, you got cash, we're in business.
Yes.
Today it's you got a soul, you're a good person, I want to do business with you. It helps if you pay your bills on time, but we're all going to the same. You're on a northbound train and I'm on a northbound train and we're a good partnership. Let's talk about doing business.
Okay.
So it's just changed because of the ability to make those choices and changing the types of industries and size of clients that we work with.
Understood. That's great. I mean, I've seen the progression and the change. Obviously, we've been friends for many years, so I was able to see the progression to where you were to where you are now. But I definitely wanted to share that story and maybe just obviously give a little bit of information for those who only see what they want to see, but they don't know exactly what goes into it from a day to day.
Right.
And I would say that your days are pretty busy today than any other.
Oh, I'm laughing because, so first of all, we're buds. You're the godfather of one of my kids.
Yeah.
So if anyone can grab my attention, it's you.
Yeah.
We work together. But the other day you needed me that you sent a text message that said, legitimately the text said,
That's a fact.
I need 6 minutes of your uninterrupted time. And it took how long for us to get it together?
So, no joke, I had to actually go and look at it. Both have iPhones. I think I text you and call it 10:20 in the morning. Hey, I need 6 minutes. Didn't hear anything. Around 2 o'clock, so what's up with that 6 minutes? Didn't hear anything. I think we honestly got back, or you got back to me, and we had that time, which was scheduled, and I had to set a timer. But I don't think that happened until around 3:30, maybe even 4 o'clock. But it's due just because you're being pulled in a lot of different directions. You have clients, you have responsibilities, but it just goes to show that, like, one, you were on top of your game, you consistently grinding, and it's also something that, and I hope people are listening and maybe watch the episode with Larry, and maybe this is where it come from. Maybe you can tell me yes or no. But one thing that really stuck when he was speaking was he said that entrepreneurs and individuals that are top of their game are always thinking about their business. Period. And that's just consistent. Like, they're always thinking about their business. And he gave the example, like, if someone's having a baby, he's thinking about life insurance. If someone buys a house, he's thinking about, okay, what about the insurance in your car? A business. There's always a hook. And I think that, you have, in my opinion, successfully navigated those conversations to where I don't think that when you come around, people think you're talking insurance or I'm about to peddle insurance on you, and everybody's like, I got to talk about insurance when Eric come around. No, it's a soft conversation. They know what you do. When it comes up, you're probably going to be the top of the list of people they're going to call. But all that to say that you're always on top of your game and you're always thinking about business, no matter if it's the weekend, the weekday, at work, on vacation.
That's a really good point. So in my opinion, in what we do, because we work together, mm-hmm. I'm never off. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not because we're salesy and we have that reputation like, oh man, this guy's here, they're just going to pester me and just keep passing out stacks of business cards. It's, you never know where your paths are going to cross. And it may not even be that you're receiving business. It may be because you can connect the dots with someone else. And I truly like to say, I want to be more to people than just their insurance broker.
Yeah.
I want to be able to deliver value to them, whether that's connections, whether that's getting stuff done, whether it's just helping them. Because if you help people enough, because it's the right thing to do, mm-hmm. and you believe in good karma, your plate's going to be full.
Yeah.
And I also believe you can't complain when your plate's full, because that's the whole purpose. You want to eat.
Absolutely.
So I like having a full plate. I do like going 1,000 miles an hour. That's why I drink coffee all day long, which is my only vice. But I try to stay at 100. I don't like operating at 50.
Yeah.
So, but I really believe that you have to be on in this industry. There's no off. And it's not that give me sales stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just being genuine. Absolutely. And always looking around for opportunity.
Absolutely.
And it's not always opportunity that you can receive. It's not because I'm looking around for, hey, I heard someone at that cafe talking about their insurance rates suck. Maybe I could go ask them, slip in a business card with their bill.
Yeah.
It's opportunities for everything. Like I said, helping others, connecting dots. I like what I call playing quarterback. If I can play quarterback and keep just connecting people in the right fashion.
Put them in the right place.
Put them in the right place. It works.
I agree. I mean, I think two words that I'm obsessed with currently would have to be process, obviously. And the second one is just value. I think what you're saying is just you want to bring as much value to whoever you're talking to at the time. Whether it's, they having trouble with their landscape guy and a landscaper. Hey, let me put you in contact with my guy. It's bringing as much value to that person. And obviously, if that brings you business, and great. But at the end of the day, you want to be the quarterback to foster those relationships and put them in the best position.
Here's an example. Some guy needed an outsourced accounting service. Mm-hmm. This just happened. Referred him to someone. It worked. Client's happy. He's a client of mine, so I just delivered great value. He was having a problem, and it just happened because we were having casual conversation. We weren't in our insurance meeting. We were just talking. The CPA accounting guy's really happy. New client for him. It's a good client. he's trying to pay me money. I'm like, I don't want money. I don't need that from you. I did it because it was the right fit, and y'all are both successful now.
Yeah.
That's why those relationships are important, because you keep feeding other people. Again, karma's good. God's
Absolutely.
good. At the end of the day, God is good. He will take care of you. Work your ass off. Grind
right
hard.
thing.
I don't turn my phone off. I just work.
Yeah.
And I'm working for a purpose. So it's paying me back.
Man, that's great. Man, I want to hold you too long. I appreciate you being on this episode of Processing the Process, episode 8. One thing that we do here at the end, we always ask a question. It's a one question, but a two-parter. The first part of the question is business. Is there anyone that is on your radar that's out there, a business owner, someone that is a pie in the sky? I want to meet this person to potentially do their business or to connect the dots. The second part of that question is a personal. So is there anyone that you selfishly want to meet because you just want to meet that person? There's just somebody you want to meet as a mentor, or you just admire them, or it could be your wife wants to meet them and that'd be a good connection. So for that, it's a two-part question for business and for personal. Who was the individual that you would like to meet?
Ooh, put me on the spot. I even asked you before, what's the surprise question so I could prepare. Man, that's good. From business, and it's not because I want to do his business.
Okay.
I just think he's a sharp business person. And again, I like to be around sharp business people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to name 3 because I think they run their organizations very differently,
Okay.
but all very successfully.
Okay.
This is going to be random. Richard Branson.
Okay.
The reason being his style is completely different than most people's, right? It's a huge culture drive on how they run their organization. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to learn from him how he's able to operate at such a high functioning level with the culture that he has and be successful. Mm-hmm. The other one, I would probably say from a business standpoint that I'd want to meet to learn from.
Okay.
If that's a fair answer.
Yeah, it is.
Kevin O'Leary. I know that sounds ridiculous, being
the
hated shark
Yeah.
of all the hated one. However, he's brilliant. I mean, he makes money happen. He makes money,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to learn from him on how he does it.
Absolutely. And if you watch the show, which I do every week that it's on, he structures deals very uniquely that now, if you are a watcher since season 1 to where they are now, you can see that other people have incorporated that style or rethinking the way you structure a deal. So that's pretty interesting that you said Kevin O'Leary. I know you say you have a third.
And I've never thought about that. That just came to me. I've never thought I got to meet Kevin. But if you think about it, I mean, does a great job. He's brilliant.
He does.
And I'm sure there's a lot to learn from him.
It is. I think there is. I know you said 3. Was there a third one that you think, or you forgot?
I don't remember.
Who? Anybody selfishly that you just want to meet?
Anyone that I can learn from.
Okay. Perfect.
Anybody. You put someone in front of me that's built a successful organization, I want to learn from them.
Understood. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it. This has been another episode of Processing the Process. Thank you. Please tune in every week. We are uploading new videos every Friday at noon. So please subscribe, tell a friend, let me know what you think, leave a comment. I'm looking to get better. I'm looking for the show to get better. So anything that you have to offer as far as a critique is always good for me. So with that, I will say goodbye and see you guys next week.
I got a shout out for my boy, though. A couple of weeks ago, I was in a duck hunting an hour and a half south of Houston.
Uh-huh.
The process came up, and so I was like, I listened to that show. I was like, I know that guy. I know that guy. I'll take claim to it. He's my boy. So congratulations to you.
I
Reaching
appreciate
various areas codes in the middle of a marsh, man.
Really? Well, that's exciting. Thank you so much for whoever that was that stumbled upon the episode and told that to Eric. That is fantastic. You never know where the show can reach and lead to, and that's why that last question I asked, because you never know who's going to see this. It could be Kevin's kids. It could be a business partner of his that may say, hey, I think you need to talk to Eric, and it might happen because of this show. So
Maybe
you never know.
If I'm persistent enough and determined enough, I may meet him.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Stay hard, work humble. Can you cut that part?